Bitch is a Bad Word podcast is for informational purposes only and reflects the opinions of the host and guests. It contains explicit content and discusses sensitive topics such as domestic abuse, sexual assault, and violence, which may be distressing to some listeners. Please take care of your emotional well-being while listening. While we strive for accuracy, we make no warranties about the completeness or reliability of the information, and any reliance on it is at your own risk. We do not endorse third-party views and are not liable for any defamatory claims. Listeners should conduct their own research and consult professionals before making decisions. If you or someone you know is in danger, please call 911 or contact the National Domestic Abuse Hotline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 800-799-7233 or text START, S-T-A-R-T, to 88788. We've got your back, besties. Caliber Studios has not independently verified the information you're about to hear. Welcome back to Bitch is a Bad Word. I'm Lindsay. I'm one mom with 4 kids and 0 fancy letters behind my name. I'm here to help you unpack all of the challenges that you're facing and guide you through your journey in surviving domestic abuse. Today, we're diving into a narrative that is as compelling as any scripted drama, a story that resonates deeply with my own experiences, even though I was never in a cult. Today, our guest is multi-talented actress and author, Bethany Joy Lenz. She's here to chat about her New York Times bestselling memoir, Dinner for Vampires, Life on a Cult TV Show, while also in an actual cult. Joy starred in the hit TV show One Tree Hill, and her other acting credits include Guiding Light, Grey's Anatomy, Charmed, Felicity, Suits, Dexter, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's also a recording artist who has released several albums. Lenz currently co-hosts the podcast Drama Queens and is the founder, editor-in-chief of the broadsheet newspaper Modern Vintage News. And she's clearly a badass. Joy, welcome to Bitch is a Bad Word. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Hi, I'm so thrilled to be here.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Lindsay, I just remembered I forgot to take the crabs I'm eating for lunch out of the freezer. Give me literally 25 seconds. I'll be right back.
Oh.
Thank you. Sorry. Went to the farmer's market and got these great crab cakes and then I forgot.
Oh, I love it.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
I loved your book, by the way. I read it.
Thanks.
I had to listen to it and read it because, much like you, I discovered later in life that I am dealing with dyslexia, ADD, all the things that used to get in my way and I didn't understand why. And then when you figure it out,
you're bad at life.
Yeah. I was like,
I have anxiety.
My teachers are like, she's really nice, but she won't stop talking. And come take this test in the other room. So yeah, I actually thought I was bad at life. And then I was reading in your book, but also listening. It just, everything sort of clicks and makes sense.
Glad. I mean, I'm glad that I'm not glad that, well, hey, I could be glad that you're neurodivergent. I'm glad I'm neurodivergent. I think it really helps my creativity, but I'm glad that you recognize some similarities and were able to see that.
Yeah, it's important. So your story though, you're living 2 different TV dramas at once, like a scripted, go to work, and then one that's terrifyingly real. And I really loved when you say that you felt like your cult wasn't culty enough. That really tracked because for me, many people that I talk to in my own experience, if you're not physically abused in your relationship, some people think that they're not abused enough. Their relationship isn't warranted or, doesn't constitute domestic abuse because, well, he's just talking shitty to me or he's just, kind of pushing me around a little bit. So I love that resonates with people because your experiences you were in a cult and you were in an abusive relationship, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So you had the trifecta. You had you're like the leader, you had your husband, and then you had the group, the family, and the cult. What was that experience
That's
like?
right. Well, you can read about it in Dinner for Vampires.
Yes.
I really, that's the book is walking people through how manipulation and coercion works in a way that hopefully is very relatable, because we've all experienced manipulation and coercion on some level. It, it's not always as drastic as what you or I have gone through, but the the reason why it works when it works on someone is because it happens with such a slow burn. There are so many steps along the way that seem slightly out of order, but it's like, I don't want to be crazy. I don't want to be paranoid. I don't want to be the person who's causing a fuss. It's fine. And then the next step, you kind of say the same thing, because there's space. There's, feels like it's few and far between. And then those gaps become smaller and smaller and smaller until the coercion is just a part of the daily interaction and vernacular, and you don't even notice that you suddenly wound up there, without seeing all the flags along the way, because you kept making excuses. So, to answer your question, in a sense, I mean, it's a quicksand effect. Like you think you're standing on something solid, and you're like, am I sinking? I can't, it feels like I'm sinking, but I'm not. No, I'm fine. My shoes were an inch into the sand when I got here, right?
Right.
And then eventually you're up to your neck.
That is exactly the way it feels. And I always want to talk about, it's a them thing, not a you thing. So you're constantly feeling crazy when you're manipulated and gaslit. It's the most mind fucking situation that you're going through, because when you are with somebody that you're sharing a life with that is constantly making you question and doubt your own reality, you can't imagine. And for me, I'm like an empath. I couldn't imagine someone would do that. Like, how would you tell me that this happened when it didn't? And all the manipulation tactics that happen that keep you controlled. And I, like you said in your book, you get to the point where you're just so exhausted, and you just want to say yes. And how you said safety means agreement. I felt the same way in my relationship, where at some point it just was easier, safer. It was better for my kids. It was better for the tone in our house if I just became a yes person. And sometimes I just didn't say, like, just nod your head, whatever, whatever. You take the reins, you handle everything, you make all the calls, you make all the rules. But I look back on my life now. Yeah, you have to, because that's the only safety, right?
It's the only it's survival. You physically cannot put your body through that much anxiety on a day-to-day basis. You can't put yourself through dissecting every word, everything, because the manipulations are often so arbitrary. They're things that seem so meaningless. It's like, well, why did you use that word? That specific word felt a little like, or why are you responding being defensive? I'm not defensive. Well, okay, it felt like you were being defensive, can you tell me why? Well, I'm not. And then, halfway down the conversation, 30 minutes later, okay, well, I was being defensive. I just felt like you were, attacking me. But why did we have to talk for a half an hour in order for you to admit what I knew right away? Well, why are you dissecting every single thing that I say? So then it always gets turned back around on you. And it's just the smallest little things, to the point where you're like, I don't have the energy. I can't dissect every single small thing, even though I know I'm right. Like, every time we do this, eventually it comes out that I knew what I was talking about from the get-go. Like, I had my spidey sense was out. I knew that something was off. I called it out, and then you turned it around on me. I don't know if this is me talking in circles. I hope this is making sense. But it's so difficult. You have to survive if you have to stay there. If you can get out, that's a different situation. But if you are stuck and you have to stay there, which I think a lot of women in particular do, there's nothing else for you to do. You have to find a way to compartmentalize.
Well, because they invite you into these arguments. They invite you into, I like to say these type of people have they love to create unsolvable problems. So they invite you into a discussion or to an argument. They're like, hey, come to the front door. But actually, we'll talk about it here. And then I want you to go around the house, go through the back door, into the window, back to the front again. And then we'll have the conversation. So by the time you're like, you start with something so simple. And I was never able to explain this to people. I'm like, it wasn't the big shit. It was always the smallest little nuances that would leave you feeling like, we just had this conversation. You've come back around. There's no reconciling. There's no problem solving. There's definitely no closing issues out. Like they like to keep that in the narc vault when you're vulnerable and they can keep it, swing it back to you later, throw it in your face.
Yeah.
And they weaponize all of these little moments against you as well. So you're just like, you're in a relationship with someone where you're constantly feeling like you're stepping on the landmines. And then you throw life in the middle. Like that's just like waking up on a freaking Tuesday and trying to figure out if you want to have pancakes or eggs for breakfast. Now you got to go do life.
And then you're surrounded by people who are probably in generally healthy relationships telling you, well, marriage is hard. Relationships are hard. You're not always going to agree on everything. Well, you can't pick on every single little thing. Like, can't you just let it go? And it makes it even worse because then you really feel like I'm the odd man out. Like I'm the one making this difficult. I have to be because everyone else is telling me it's not that big of a deal. And I guess relationships are hard. And, and the fine line that addressing this idea that my cult wasn't culty enough or my relationship wasn't abusive enough because there's no physical bruises, it's really tricky because we're also in a culture that right now we're in a moment in culture where there's a sense of identity around victimhood. And there's a difference, I think, between acknowledging that you've survived something and informing people and finding your identity in being a victim and needing approval from people because that's how you want to see yourself. It's so hard to find the fine line. So when you're in a situation where you are being victimized, if you acknowledge it, it's pretty easy for your abuser or people around you to point a finger and say, you just want to be a victim.
Oh my God. If I had heard that one more time, victim, fake victim. He would call me a fake victim. I'm like, I'm sitting here with a laundry list of physical things you've done to me, and even longer list of the emotional stuff. I'm not a fake victim. I'm an actual victim. Well, what are you going to do about it? I mean, go do something about it.
But there are people out there who don't understand the nuance. They don't understand the difference. They're just using the word narcissist because they don't like what their partner is doing and because they don't understand how to have boundaries for themselves. Mm-hmm. So the word's sort of getting like monopolized in a way that is really troublesome for people who actually are experiencing narcissistic abuse, because then we look like we're crying wolf when it's everyone else that's using it incorrectly.
Well, it's like back in the old, like in the day when I was growing up, like everybody was like a psycho. Oh, they're a psycho. Well, no, they're like the percentage of people that are actual psychopaths is very small. But like the percentage of people who we're learning on the show is like narcissistic people are one thing, but then you have this like borderline personality disorder, which is like you're dealing with all the crazy shit that's happening. And that's the reality. That's what you're living in. And when you're living with somebody who gaslights you, stonewalls you, and you came into a relationship as a pretty healthy person, that deterioration of your like mental health as it's like operating in real time, you do become the crazy person. Like, and for me, I had kids through this. So then I was like, am I having postpartum? I'm freaking tired as hell because I'm dealing with somebody who's just constantly coming at me. There's no break. There's no reprieve. I would imagine for you, like you loved being able to go to work. Like you had a place you could kind of leave for a minute.
It was amazing to be able to have that break, but there was still that sense of like, am I the narcissist? Am I the one who's actually because you don't understand that there's a difference between selfish people who are selfish. I mean, look, I grew up as an only child and an actor. a lot of my world revolved around me. I have absolutely had selfishness issues to work through in my life. Very different from clinical lack of empathy, narcissism.
Mhm.
It's hard to know the difference when you're in that swirl with somebody who is actually taking advantage of you. And so, yes, to be able to go to work was a huge relief. It was the only place that I felt like I could just play and be me and be safe and not have to worry about um, every little thing I did being watched. Although, and I write about this in the book a bit, everything was dysregulated in my life. So I didn't have a real ability to discern what was an overreaction to something and what wasn't. So I might have been letting out some of my frustration at being controlled at home in my work environment, like a misplaced rebellion against control. Or in the workplace environment, I guess it was mostly just the normal hierarchy of, you have a boss and you have to do what your boss says, unless your boss is also a narcissist who's trying to take advantage of you,
right?
which did happen on our show. So
You're like,
that
you
was
don't
also
want to have the
difficult.
pie in the scene, Joy. Eat the pie.
Yeah. Yeah, the neuroses. Yeah, it was a really difficult time in life. I was very, very confused everywhere I went. But I'll tell you what, when the cameras were rolling, I knew what I was doing, and I knew I was safe, and I knew I felt good about myself. And sometimes that is it's a defense mechanism or life function mechanism that really serves well for a period of time.
Mhm.
So while I I always feel pretty good when the cameras are rolling and that I know what I'm doing, but that really was my only safe place. Now I have many other safe places because I don't need that mechanism to hold me up anymore.
That's beautiful. Like the life on the other side is when you can get out and get safe it's a beautiful vision that I always like to share.
It takes a while.
It takes a while, and healing is not linear. And if you have kids, you're in it for a long haul, depending on the age. And so you have to adjust and course correct and adapt.
Ooh, healing is not linear. You need to put that on a t-shirt and sell it.
Okay. It's sold.
Good.
It's going to be on this episode.
Good.
Well, like collab with Joy Lenz. I love it. I'm finding every single day as I wake up and I suffer from, now I understand, like PTSD, and I constantly have to send my children back, to their dad. And I always have to have the hope and the belief that, okay, well, they're going to be clothed, they're going to be fed. He's going to do his best. And I have to leave it at that, because I was always trying to control how their life was when they were with me. So I stayed longer. I was a stay-at-home mom. I'd quit jobs. And I stayed in my relationship longer because I felt like in that home, I could control the narrative. I could move them around when he was in a bad mood. I could take their, whatever. And what I realized, though, is that was the worst thing I could have done, because I was exposing them to so many toxic traits, environments, things that I thought that they couldn't hear, they were hearing. My older kids were like, Mom, we knew how, we knew what was up, but we didn't say anything. And then the day I left, which was like a hectic situation, I realized at that moment, this is the right thing to do. I am getting everybody out of the environment and I'll figure it all out later. But my control, just like you had at work, my control was in the house, keeping everything perfect, folding their clothes in the most neurotic way and lining it all up in their drawers. They're going to pull it all out and get dressed in 5 seconds. And it was great, I have something to do. I can make the best meals. I became this insane cook. I was let me craft, anything I could to create this false narrative. It was not real life of what life was meant to be like, while the chicken was rotting on the counter sort of situation. That was the reality. That's what I felt like I could control. That's not a healthy way to live. And it's not a healthy mindset for yourself. It's not a healthy relationship that you're showing with your kids. So That control,
Yeah.
because they're controlling you, is real. So I want to talk about control and isolation when we come back. I'm just going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with Joy Lenz. Hey besties, it's Lindsay from Bitch is a Bad Word podcast, and I was so excited when Cozy Earth reached out and wanted to sponsor our show because I love their products. Their bath towels are huge. They've got awesome prints on all their PJs. Their sheets are perfection. I love snuggling up with my kiddos, reading my texties from my exties. They are soft, they are silky. Most importantly, they keep me cool all night long. They've got your back with a 40% off coupon code using the code word BESTIES at checkout. I promise you, you are going to love everything that they have. 40% off using our coupon code BESTIES at CozyEarth.com. And if they offer you a post-purchase survey, let them know you heard about Cozy Earth right here on Bitch is a Bad Word. Okay, welcome back, besties, to Bitch is a Bad Word. We have an absolute badass on with us today. Joy Lenz, you've done it all. You have been through hell and back, and you're thriving again. And that to me is the most inspiring piece of everything, like reading your book, which was so amazingly insightful, but then seeing like you went through so much shit. You're sitting here being completely controlled, completely manipulated, isolated. I say that the isolation is these manipulators put you in a silo and you're just there. You have no idea what's going on in the reality outside of that silo. They're building this like fortress around you. You see the world through their eyes only, which is super jaded and messed up. And the more they isolate you, obviously, the more they can control you, and they start ripping apart your support systems. When outside of the silo sees it for what it really is, but nobody wants to get involved. Like nobody, it's like you're taught to like take care of your side of the street, don't mess in anybody's business. Later they tell you, and then you're like, well, why the hell didn't you try harder? But it's nobody's fault. But you see it, so like
I think. Oh, sorry. But also I think because they may not be close enough. It's like the hard part is the people who are really close friends. If someone's going to be a really close friend, like they're going to want to try and see the best in you and your partner because you guys are all hanging out and you're spending time, and like they want to be able to give you good advice, and people want marriages to work, and they're going to encourage you, and they're going to like, I think it's harder for people who are really close to see sometimes because they're also invested in the unit of the two of you and your family unit. But people who are further out, they might see it, but they're not going to say anything because they're not close enough to say anything. It's a weird little it's a weird little system.
It is. It's its own little like ecosystem. And I mean, for you, your ecosystem was like financially, everybody's got their fingers in the pot. And, to be manipulated that way out of so much of your hard work is just freaking mind blowing. When you talk in the book, I had to write this down because I was like, holy crap, my ex had a gambling problem. And every time he had a big loss, the loss and sorry, I have a train. The loss in making was so significant. And it really bothered me. Like, oh my God, we lost. Like, how did you lose this much money? Yeah. But I would be gaslit in my response to, well, why are you making such a big deal of it? Like, it's just, it doesn't really matter. Wow. And, it's not like I'll make more or you didn't make it or, so there'd be like, but then at the same time, I'm having to console him because he's feeling so horrible about the loss. And then
there's no room for your reaction.
No room. And so that's the same with you. Like she gambled your money and they're like, calm down, Joy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. By that time I had trained myself. I knew what the right response was. The right response was be forgiving. It's not that big of a deal. You can always make more money. This is a life lesson for her. If this hard work that you put in to earn this money and you trusted somebody, you can't fault yourself for trusting people. You don't want to go through the world hard-hearted. So you trusted a really good friend and she let you down. And now she's learned a lesson. And isn't that wonderful that God gave you the ability to make money that your friend could lose gambling in order to learn a life lesson that will change her life forever? The mental gymnastics.
You're like, she just squandered all my money and I'm here. Like, you just like, that takes some freaking like grit, girl. Like, I don't know.
I was like 7 years in by then. I mean, my brain was fully on the loop. Like my neural pathways had been sufficiently carved in that direction. So there really wasn't any other way for me to think. I mean, I could feel it. What's interesting is your body still feels things. So I could feel the rage.
Right.
But like my brain kept going down the same pathways that it was trained to go down. Oh my God. So it was like, what do I do with this?
No. So did you find yourself, you're in there. So you're saying that's 7 years in, and Dr. Ramani talks about,
I don't have the timeline in front of me, but I think it was about it.
Like at enough that you're cooked and like,
yeah, it was a while in.
You're in. Dr. Ramani talks about future faking, and people like narcissists and manipulators future fake you. So they're like, oh, when this happens, everything will be better after this happens. And then they sort of keep moving the goalpost. And I loved that term because that happened in my situation. When XYZ happens, then all this will be better. Like life will be easier. There won't be so much stress. Let me sell the business. Let's move. We were constantly sort of jumping around from like, when this happens next, which kept us obviously in chaos. And that was sort of like by design, to never like, once we got to that moment or we achieved that goal, that, well, it just kept getting pushed. But then I started finding myself future faking myself. Like, okay, if I can stay until they're this age, or if I can do this, or, did you find yourself future faking in some way of like, wonder if you could just get through a certain point, then the grass is greener?
Yeah. I mean, for a while I was convinced that the show was my big problem, that the fact that I was under contract was keeping me away from my real family. And if only I could get out of this show, if only it would get canceled, or if my contract would expire, like when my contract expires, then I'll be able to be happy, because I'm torn between two worlds. I'm torn between desires. I'm double-minded. I want to act and be on camera and do this thing that I've created an idol for my identity out of this thing that I do. And in order to be happy, I must separate myself from this idol that I've created. And the only real way I can separate myself is to stop acting and go home and be with all these people who are my chosen family and just live a quiet, humble life. And that's what's going to actually give me real fulfillment and real happiness. What's hard about that is that may be true for someone. That's an absolutely viable avenue of choice for your life, to just say, you know what, I'm out. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be red carpet, camera, makeup, early wake up calls. Like I'm good at it, but I just want to live a quiet life with my family. Like, that's amazing. Go for it. It was not actually what I wanted or what I needed. My ex-husband didn't want me working with other men on camera, kissing other men on camera, didn't want me to have to deal with me wearing things or being in scenes that felt compromising to our marriage in some way to him. And I wrote about that in the book, and wanted me to quit acting. So I just was like, well, it's one of those survival things. You kind of train yourself like, okay, if I do that, maybe everything will get better. And that's why when the show was ending in season 6 and they came back and asked us to renew, I was done. I was like, I can't wait to get out of here. I'm going to finally be happy. And then this the leader of our group surprised me and my husband with, actually, I think you should go back, like it's good for you. God's not done with you there yet. Go on. Of course, he was just stealing all my money. So
God, it's like
he wanted the
he was the
siphon.
ultimate gaslighter and manipulator, right? I mean,
yeah.
he was just siphoning your money, forcing you, but you being at work was a problem because you weren't being, a dutiful wife or whatnot. And then, but you needed to go back to work because you needed your money. So you're in this constant state of conflict. So which erodes your own self-trust. How did you learn to trust yourself again?
It was by experiment. When I got out of the group, and I write in the book about this existential crisis that I had and this experience, screaming at God and just sort of letting it all hang out and saying, all right, I give up. I give up trying to do everything the right way. I don't know what the right way is. I'm going to follow myself. I'm going to follow my gut and see what that feels like, because I don't think I've ever done that unless I'm on camera. What if I did that with my actual life? So scary. The great thing about religion, and the great thing, well, I say great kind of sarcastically, but the thing is, with a religion or a self-help group or a methodology of life, there's a checklist and it's pretty easy. Like, you just follow all the rules, and then you don't have to fall on your face. You don't have to take risks. If bad things happen, it's all folded into the overall good for you. And so you don't have to grieve things, and you don't have to get angry about things, and you can be a victim. I mean, it's a really nice little setup if you don't want to live your own life, which I think a lot of people don't. I didn't for many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got out and went, okay, I have to live my own life. I have to follow my own face and get up and then see if there's anything out there that's going to catch me and help me. And it turns out there is. And the more that I experimented and trusted my gut and learned the difference between me doing something that I wanted to out of almost a rebellion, like, I'm not going to be controlled, I'll do whatever I want. The difference between that and me following my gut, which wasn't always in line with what I wanted. Sometimes my gut was telling me something that was like, no, this is, don't do it. Don't do it, Joy. And if I followed my gut, I was 95% of the time, like, correct.
Right.
It was the right decision. But I had to make those mistakes. I had to make the rebellions and kind of fall on my face. And
Or fall forward. Fall forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you
and
are.
Trust. Oh, sorry. I was just, and learn to trust that I am not, that there is a safety net, that I have the ability to navigate a lot, but I am not omnipresent. I can't see everything at all times. I don't know what's happening all the time. I can't control everything. And so it's a dance. It's this dance with the God of my understanding that I'm caught and safe. There's a safety net for me. There's a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and they're all equally viable. And but I have to move the vehicle forward. I can't just sit there and hope everything's going to be okay. I have to make choices. I have to move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to take that first
Sorry,
step.
I need to get on a soapbox.
No, I like you, but that's like we said, like, we're on this healing journey, and you have to, if you were in a situation where you weren't making decisions for yourself, and I like to say, I mean, I was a kept woman. I am going on this crusade to unkeep all the women. Like, we are unkept bitches. We are not doing this. We are like,
stop behaving. Why are we behaving?
We need to really just like revolt almost, and just sort of say, and we can do the hard things. You can do this. We're told so many times you can't do it. And as you're learning, you are, living proof here that you went from just most people, I can't imagine personally, but I think a lot of people listening couldn't imagine what you've gone through. And then to sit here, smile on your face, taking crabs out of the freezer for a lunch date, it's like, that is awesome. But okay, so I have to ask though, what's your faith like? Do you still have a relationship, faith based with God.
I absolutely do. It's way better than it ever was because everything before, there was a childlike element to it of um there was a naivete of like believing in the magic in the world everywhere, and really villains were reserved for movies and that 2% of the population that are actual psychopaths. But mostly everybody's lovely, and we're all just doing our best. And I didn't understand the complexity of human behavior, and just the nuance of how the choices that people make shape them. And sometimes it shapes people into monsters. And we all have the capability of becoming um, Mr. Jekyll
Mm-hmm.
and Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Mr. Hyde. I always mix them up. We all have the capability of
Because
becoming Mr. Hyde.
you lived with all of them and
Yes,
their cousin.
And it's a daily vigilance to make sure that you're making choices with integrity and that you're moving. And so that's why, for me, my faith experience drastically changed, because I went from believing in a system that was labeled, it was labeled the same thing that I believe now, which is Christianity, but it's like it's not even the same animal. It's just, I just grew up believing a completely incorrect definition of in what I actually see now. So yeah, my faith has gotten so much better. I still have a lot of, you're saying I'm here and I'm so happy and thriving, and I feel a bit like a fraud because I have a lot of hard days. It's not like a cure all, getting out on the other side of it doesn't just mean that suddenly life is happy. But the integration of my faith and having an understanding of grace and my the joy that is available to me is not circumstantial. And so even when I am having really down, difficult days and under this wave of depression, which still hits me, I really struggle with it, and it'll get me down for a week sometimes. And it's hard. It feels like I'm just getting up out of bed feels like I'm carrying a load of bricks on my back. And I don't tend to text friends, and I don't tend to reach out. And sometimes I'll emerge and be like, hey, just somebody pray for me, or somebody like, do you want to get a coffee? I'm probably falling apart. Maybe come over instead of going out to coffee in public. I have these times. I don't know if it's chemical neurodivergent. I don't know if it's perimenopause. I don't know if it's just my lot in life that I'm an overthinker, and sometimes the weight of the world gets me and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm sorry this is so long-winded, but what I'm getting to is this element of my faith that gives me this joy that is not circumstantial. So even when everything's hard, I still feel a sense of there's a peace, it's all going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this will pass. This too will pass. There's beauty everywhere, and I can find gratitude when I really start searching for it and letting it in.
That is the key, right? Gratitude. Like when you,
Yes, that is the key. Yes.
I try to lie there when I don't want to get out of bed, and that, like, before I do anything, I just list an order of I just do birthing order, because I'm like, well, what if somebody knew I didn't chose them first? Well, it's in your fucking brain, Lindsay. No one can understand. No one's in there.
Nobody else is in there. That's so good.
So I'm like, okay, so I start at the top and I go down, and I'm like, these are all the people I'm grateful for, and this is what I have gratitude for. And everything that I feared would not work out, like, it didn't materialize. It's here. Mm-hmm. Like, all those things were not real. And I've made it, and I'm on a path that I'm meant to be on. So whether or not you're spiritual or you have a strong faith in something, my faith is in knowing that I'm betting on myself. I am taking chances. I'm taking huge risks, huge chances, but everything's sort of like lining up the way that it was meant to. And I find that everybody that left my life that, couldn't be part of the toxic environment, the people who left my life when, they just looked the other way, the people he pushed out, the people I pushed out, all the right people ended up coming back into my life and created really amazing opportunities and space and healing. And for a long time, I'd looked like I missed everybody, and when you got them back and people were like, oh, fuck, welcome back. Jesus Christ, that was crazy. You're like, okay, I'm good. We're here. And the only thing I can control is today, is right now. And if I can just make that one step, make that one move, I'll be okay. And so having that gratitude, I want to say it to everybody, like gratitude is the thing. That's the secret, like, to life, I think. And so
it truly is. It takes you out of yourself.
Yes.
There's this, I guess it was a sermon, maybe, this minister, Tim Keller, who I really love. He did a talk on, I think the title of it is Blessed Self-Forgetfulness. And the idea of living in a space where you are so focused on your gratitude, it's not high self-esteem or low self-esteem that's going to solve your problems. Like being fake humble all the time and people pleasing and getting out of everyone's way. And that's the exact same thing as having a super high self-esteem, because ultimately it's just self-focused. You're just constantly focused on how you're being perceived, how you're behaving, all these things. And if you can get out of that mindset and just serve, from a genuine place of caring about other people, but from this root of gratitude, and get out of your own focus. If this makes sense, I'm butchering it. You should go listen to it on your own.
We'll go.
You know what I'm saying?
We'll
it's so good.
Well, so you've got the spiritual component, and then we had Dr. Drew on our show, and I was talking about how I was a codependent, and he was like, well, just so you know, that's kind of a narcissistic trait. He's a codependent also, but he explained it the same way. He's like, when someone falls, and like my kids fall, and I actually like feel a pain in my body response. And I'm like, oh God, are you okay? How do I fix this? And I never let anybody, I just go through it. I want to fix it. And he's like, that's a narcissistic trait, because you're not you want to control how they feel, and you want to control their experience. So that sounds very similar to like that spiritual awakening of like, you serve through selflessness. And let people go through whatever they're going to go through, the way they're going to go through it, and be there genuinely, no matter the outcome. So,
well, I think because if you're grateful, I find that when I get into a state, I've been taking walks every day and trying to just like lock myself into this gratitude. I'm on almost 50 walks. I think this Friday will be 50 walks that I've been doing every day, and it's been pretty transformative so far. I'm hoping to get to the end of the year and have a lot more to say, but I'm noticing that the further I go into gratitude, the less worried I am about how I'm being perceived or what I need to do, what I need to accomplish. All of these things that we try and earn our way into goodness, whether it's someone else's version of goodness or our own. If I just stay in my gratitude, everything that flows out of me is of service, is kindness, is empathy, and it has nothing to do with me. I'm not looking to get something out of it at all. And that is a place I would love to really live in. I hope by the time I die, I've achieved it, but I might not. That might be a lifelong journey, but it's definitely something I'm pursuing.
That's super beautiful. I mean, that's the ultimate gift to the world, right? If we could all live like that. Oh, jeez.
I know.
Could we get rid of these? Anyway, no, I shouldn't say that out loud.
The Muppet Show, sure.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, welcome to the clown show. An upside down circus. That's sort of how I felt like I was living for a long time. So I'm going to take one final break. And then when we come back, I'd love to ask you if you have a tool that we can put into our Besties Toolkit. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wayne Callies, and I played Dr. Sarah Tancredi on Prison Break.
And I'm Paul Edelstein, and I played Agent Paul Kellerman on Prison Break. Please join us on our rewatch podcast, Prison Breaking, with Sarah and Paul.
We're going to have all kinds of guests and never-before-told stories, so follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can subscribe to our watch party on the link there. We can't wait to see you there.
And follow us on Instagram at Prison Break Podcast. See you there.
Welcome back, besties. We are here in our final segment with Joy Lenz, and she is going to give us a little tool that we can put in your bestie toolkit. So you've got all the resources and just everything you may need to get out, get safe, and be on your path to healing again. So thank you. Welcome back. We've unpacked a lot of stuff today, although I'm going to have to tell you. You're going to need to come back because
I would love to.
there's so much. I'm like, wait, I didn't talk about natural consequences or imposed boundaries or oh my gosh. And the perception of abuse, and survivors, being challenged. There's a lot of stuff we'll have you back.
Love to.
So, I will say this, your title of your book, Dinner for Vampires, I love it. And I didn't get it when at first, for a second, I was like reading the book. I'm like, wait, what was this? Well, she wasn't on a vampire show. And then it clicked with me. And I say this all the time. My ex used to eat me for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like my freaking mental mind, my heart, my soul, everything. It was like, I just always felt like I was served up. And so making this the title of your book after reading it all, it's perfect. Like the best title.
Thanks.
So, you do a lot of badass stuff. I want to hear about your newspaper and and your podcast and your toolkit for our besties. What would you say?
Okay. Well, I'll go in that order. Newspaper is called Modern Vintage News. I'll show it to you guys for anybody who's out there watching. Use your thing on YouTube. We have it's really pretty. Like our wallpaper of the month, and it's got articles. There's some staples that are in there all the time, like Shop Class and Home Ec, and Elegance for Alley Cats, and a crossword puzzle, and all these fun things. But we do a theme every issue. This latest one is on living in the gray, just the nuance of life and how everything isn't just black and white, and making space for the gray. And really the aim of the newspaper, aside from it being a broadsheet tactile paper that you can open up like your grandpa used to do, and like just for women, I think it's so great to open up and take up space rather than hunch over something. So I love that. But the aim of it in terms of the content is to present people with an opportunity to revisit their critical thinking in a way that has been dulled because of social media. We've gotten so used to just scrolling and taking in whatever info is presented to us and believing it, that there's something about critical thinking that has gone to the wayside. And I wanted to encourage people in a fun way that feels safe. We don't discuss a lot of politics. We talk more. The newspaper's called Modern Vintage News. And we want to discuss things that are things that we're facing today, but also may have related to issues from a long time ago. And so you're more exploring interesting things from the past and current issues in a way that feels safe and non-threatening, since people come from all different political, religious backgrounds and all sorts of different mindsets. We just want to create a safe space. So that's Modern Vintage News.
Where do we find that? .com. Okay.
modernvintagenews.com. You can order yours. And the podcast Drama Queens, we rewatch One Tree Hill and we talk about it. And that's been really fun. And my tool for you all, aside from honestly a prayer, and I know that's probably not a super popular thing to say right now, especially because of this current administration and everything that's going on in the religious right, that a lot of people associate that word with that version of Christianity, unfortunately. But I'm I subscribe much more to the AA Al-Anon version of this. It's the God of your understanding, and so it's recognizing that we're all in different places in our journey. I don't want to make this too long because I have a different tool for you, but we're all in different places in our spiritual journey, and sometimes you need to feel the permission to reach out, even if you don't know the name, what you're calling, just this thing that's bigger than you, this spirit, this God of your understanding. So there are so many moments in life, I think, that having the permission to reach out and not feel intimidated because you don't know the right lingo or the right name or whatever, just reach out, just pray, ask for miracles, for wisdom, for amazing things. And I think you'll be amazed. But practically, on a very tangible level, documentation is a really powerful tool. If you think you're being gaslit, if you feel uncomfortable, even if you resolve the argument and you feel like you realized, oh, maybe I was being paranoid and that's not what was going on, just write it down anyway. Because if you go back, if the next time you're in an argument or a spin and you feel like you're being gaslit, if you have a log of other situations where you feel like this same thing has happened, you can look at it. It's right there. It's not in your mind. It's not a distant memory. You can actually see. And sometimes you may go look at it and be like, you know what? Everything's okay, actually. Like, this is not a pattern. It's just every once in a while, or this is just normal relationship miscommunication, or maybe it's just selfishness and we're both selfish and we're trying to figure it out. But if it's a pattern of gaslighting, you will be able to see it. So document things.
I love it. Make
Journal.
your gaslight puzzle pieces. You can put it all together because
and write the positive things down too. So you don't feel like you've just got a journal of negativity if you don't want to, it's fine too, but just journal, like write how you feel, get it out of your body.
I love it. That is an amazing tool for our toolkit. And well, you are an inspiration to me personally. Reading this book and it was entertaining, and I listened to it too because I have to do it both ways. Like I have to listen and read so I can do it quickly. So I would go back and forth, and I really think that you put something really amazing out in the world for people, and your vulnerability and the grace of which you even share your story, it's beautiful. So
thank you so much, Lindsay. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You should be proud. I'm proud of you. And
I'm so grateful to talk with you today. I love what you're doing too. And it's just, we need more voices like this in the world. We need to clarify what's going on and give women in particular, the ability to identify what's happening and be able to identify it so that if it's not happening, it's also not called something that it's not. But there are so many women who are going through what you are and what I went through as well. And everybody just needs a helping hand. So
you got to name it to heal it. You have to identify it. You have to put a sticker on it, and you have to say, this is it. And so,
thank you for having the courage to do that.
Oh, thank you. It's fun and scary all at the same time. I want to welcome you though, before we wrap up, to my club. It's called the BFF Club. So it's Bitches Fighting for Freedom. And I'm putting together just a cohort of badass women who are taking their pain and turning it into just purpose. And I would love for you to be part of this.
Sign me up. Where's my newsletter?
You're going to be featured. And I have this vision of just like all of us on stage, just like the BFF summit. Like, let's get all these bitches on stage. We're going to just change the world. So you're doing massive change. You're awesome. I'd love to have you back. And thank you so much. Next time I'll have you come on and prepare you for sharing your own texty from your XD.
Oh, yeah, I'll find one. Thank you so much. This was great. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And thanks everybody out there for listening.
You too. Enjoy your lunch. Thanks for staying on longer too.
Got it.
Okay. Bye. Welcome back, besties. I'm here with our favorite segment, Texties from the XDs. This one is in line with what we were talking about with Joy today about control and manipulation being a slow burn. You're not really aware of it. You don't know what's happening. It just, because obviously if they were starting to do this shit right at the beginning, you'd be like, deuces, out, gone, not playing this game. But it doesn't really work like that in domestic abuse. It's just a very sneaky, tricky game they play. So these are texts that I received after I'd left, and we were trying to figure out what our next moves were. And court sort of scared me because I had to figure out how to pay for it, even though we had shitloads of money, but I didn't have access to any of it. So I was like royally screwed. And so court was a very big control tactic that was used against me. Anyway, he says, God, I wish you would stop this. Why would you object to that? This is what worries me the most and why you forced to do this tonight, because you clearly have an agenda. Our hearing is X date. That's a very long time, and time we could use to be spending with our kids instead of fighting. But like many women, you'd rather commit your time to a boss while proclaiming your independence than commit your time at home and to a man that loves you and whose interest is in seeing you happy and your kids happy. You think you're free, but you're just a slave to someone else now, and that someone doesn't care about your happiness. Your opportunity here was much better, even with our struggles. And then he must have phoned and I didn't answer, and he replies, you couldn't even say goodnight to your kids? What kind of mess have you gotten yourself into? I respond, why shame me? Why not have them call me at bedtime? He says, sorry for saying that. I'm both angry at you and worried about you. And that's why we need a parenting plan. No respect. Can't even tell me when you're back. I won't deal with you anymore. The kids aren't going anywhere with you. I don't have an address or anything of you might take them, and I won't risk you taking them from me again. I'm trying to make this work, and it's not easy. I need you to show me that you see that I am trying. My approach feels genuinely reasonable and honest. I don't want to control you and are kindly asking you to stop saying that. I am very upset with you still and still cannot understand why you would give up on us. I just want to sit down and talk. It hurts when you say I'm hurting our kids. Please don't say that unless you mean it. You're hurting me so much. Just please come home. I can't take this anymore. I'm sorry for everything I've done. I just want to be forgiven. So I didn't go home. And I don't know that they give a shit if they're forgiven or not. I haven't quite figured that out. We're still working through that. So I leave you with this. There comes a time where you just have to do the hard things, and I'm here to help you do the hard things that you're going to need to do. I've got your back. And remember, there is no safety in staying silent. If you are in immediate danger, please use 911, crash on a friend's couch, go to a shelter if it's available to you. Do anything that you have to do to get yourself and your kids safe. That is our number one priority. We drop our episodes every Tuesday, so we will see you next Tuesday, besties. Please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. Instagram is Bitch is a Bad Word Pod. TikTok is Bitch is a Bad Word. And you can follow along the Bitch is a Bad Word podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you listen to your shows. Find us on YouTube at Bitch is a Bad Word. And please send us your DMs, your texties from your XDs. We'd love to share them on our show. We also have a number. You can drop us a line, a voicemail, a text. It's 331-BITCHES. You can also email us at biabwpod@gmail.com. Send me what you got. I personally answer everything, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a Caliber Studios production. bitches being bad.